Where did I grow up? I grew up in Salisbury, North Carolina, a small haunted town with a population of around 25,000 people. It is also known as the home of cheer wine, which is a better version of Dr. Pepper, if you ask me. I grew up watching my aunts and uncles play Pong and Pac Man. I was always trying to be in the mix with them. I grew up watching Wonder Woman, who was my Shero, my first Shero on television. She was on there kicking butt and taking names. The 80s just were a perfect time for me as a creative to grow up and see all of the colors and just the creativity that was coming out of everybody during that time. So the storyteller path for me appeared very early on. Jackie Torrance, who's known as the GOAT of storytelling, showed up at my school, I think in the second grade. She was there to tell ghost stories. So I remember her telling us a story about the ghost with the golden arm. So it was amazing. I grew up in a time where storytellers ruled. I mean, we had like LeVar Burton, we had Mr. Rogers, we had Pee Wee Herman, and then we had Scented Pencils, we had Lisa Frank, we had Trapper Keepers. I mean, all the colors that people wore. It was just like the 80s were like a colorful explosion. So it was really awesome to kind of grow up in that time. I remember one Halloween, I wanted to be a rock star. My mom, I think she allowed me to spray paint my hair pink and put in like an afro. It was the most comfortable I ever felt in my life. So that's kind of how I dress now. It's kind of my trademark to wear hats and to kind of wear my hair crazy. I did not want to be a rock star, but I kind of became a rocket scientist of sorts. I remember Rice Krispie treats or just cereal boxes back then. They always had advertisements on the back of them. They probably still do to this day. But I just remember in particular this one day I went to pour myself a bowl of cereal. On the back of the box there was a application to fill out if you wanted to go to space camp. And I thought, oh, this is really cool. This is NASA. And so I talked to my mom into allowing me to fill out the form on the back of the box, sent it in. Next thing I know, I was in space camp in Orlando, Florida. I was setting off and creating rockets, little mini rockets that we were setting off. I was going on missions or like helping put together missions and to see them through at the NASA Center. No, I don't think I ever wanted to be a astronaut. Though I do recommend parents send their kids to space camp. It was an amazing experience for me, something that I still think about to this day. My dream career was to become a supermodel. Back in the 80s and early 90s, we had supermodels. I mean, bona fide supermodels, not the Instagram models that everybody claims to be these days, but these girls were like larger than life. They were bigger than this world. And so I wanted to be a supermodel. I would draw like different outfits that I wanted to wear, like high fashion, or what I thought was high fashion at the time. I was never all that great at drawing, but I still tried. I got out my ideas as much as I could. But I wanted to be a fashionista. I wanted to be on the runway. I wanted to be the Naomi Campbell, the Cindy Crawford, the next Tyra Banks. And then I stopped growing. To be a supermodel back then, or to be in high fashion, you had to be 5'7" or above. I grew to be 5'6", so I was short by 1 inch, which was pretty devastating. I mean, I still managed to do a few fashion shows. I still managed to do some pageants back then. I was in a couple pageants in North Carolina, but my supermodel dreams never came true. So I missed it by 1 inch. So after my dreams of becoming a supermodel fell short, I just kept being creative. Back in the 80s and 90s, rap music had a storytelling aspect to it. So I would sit in my bedroom. I would pop in cassette tapes, if you know what cassette tapes are anymore. I would record songs off the radio, R&B songs and rap songs, and I would sit in my room and I would write out the lyrics. So I was just writing out lyrics. Eventually I started writing my own lyrics. I would write raps, I would write sung lyrics. I got really into poetry. I would go to the library. I would check out books, read Nikki Giovanni, Sonia Sanchez, Maya Angelou, and lots of Rita Dove. That's where I kind of discovered Edgar Allan Poe. Raven Choi famously is named after his poem The Raven. So then every time I would go to Food Line with my grandmother, it was our local grocery store, I would ask her to buy me a comic book. We didn't have comic book shops in Salisbury, North Carolina at the time, so the only access I had to comics was going to Food Line, and Archie and Veronica was always there, or Betty and Veronica was always there on the checkout stand, and so she would check out, I'm like, can I have a book? And so she would buy me one. I don't know if she got tired of buying me books or if she just kind of saw my interest in it and wanted to kind of push me along. But on Sunday mornings, she always would read the newspaper, my grandmother would, and the Sunday pages. And so the funny pages she would bring to me and hand deliver it to my bedroom every morning, every Sunday morning. And so that's kind of how I got into comics, was my grandmother bringing me those comic strips and buying me the comic books. That was the beginning of the Shero Universe.
Next week on the Shero Universe miniseries.
Did I know I was going to Korea with a cult? Let me think. No.